Hello everyone, this is Karen.
Hello everybody, I am Shane.
Today we're looking at day 1 of Ignaz Semmelweis.
Ignaz Semmelweis.
A pioneer of hand washing. And the vocabulary words are disease.
Disease.
Katie often dreams of a world without hunger, war, and disease.
Destroy.
Destroy.
The powerful typhoon completely destroyed the village.
Suspect.
Suspect.
Scientists have long suspected that negative emotions can hurt your health.
Rate.
Rate.
The city's crime rate went down last year.
Mystery.
Mystery.
The cause of the fire is a mystery. So we're talking about someone great, I guess.
Yes.
And his name is Ignaz Semmelweis.
Right, we know now the importance of hand washing.
Oh, you don't know how many times I wash my hands in a day.
Because of COVID-19,
That's
we really
right.
learned the importance of hand washing. But a long time ago, in the 1800s, people didn't even know that washing your hands was important for not spreading diseases.
Not even the doctors.
Not even doctors. Nobody knew this.
So that's pretty horrible, right?
But he actually, Ignaz Semmelweis, he discovered that hand washing was important. But at that time, people didn't really believe him.
That's right. How did he discover that hand washing was important, though?
Well, he worked in a hospital, and in this hospital, they were helping with childbirth. But they also were working with dead bodies, doing autopsies.
Like they had to touch dead bodies.
And then they would just go and deliver a baby without washing their hands.
So then they will probably get infections.
Yeah, because they noticed that women who used midwives, who were having babies outside of the hospital, weren't getting these infections.
Childbed fever.
Childbed fever, right, is what they called it. So he found the connection between washing your hands and preventing the spread of disease and getting infections.
But it's too bad that the doctors didn't really believe him back then.
Yeah. All right, let's learn more about Ignaz Semmelweis.
Okay, let's go.
Ignaz Semmelweis, a pioneer of hand washing. Today, everyone knows that washing one's hands stops the spread of disease. But at one time, this idea was considered so strange that one doctor's life was destroyed just for encouraging it.
Today's lesson is called Ignaz Semmelweis, a pioneer of hand washing. Part 1. Hi everyone, my name is Jeff.
And I'm Mike. What's that name again?
Ignaz Semmelweis.
Ignaz Semmelweis. That's a very interesting name. Okay, and this man,
Yes.
Ignaz Semmelweis, is a pioneer of hand washing. So he's the very first person to ever wash his hands.
That's not quite correct,
Okay,
but
good.
he's the first person who said, you know what, washing your hands regularly is a good idea.
Oh, so he was probably a doctor or something like that.
Yep.
Because, yeah, back in the old days, they used to, doctors would have dirty hands and they would even do operations with dirty hands and dirty equipment. And, of course, people got sick and died. So he was the guy who told doctors and other people, hey, if you want to be healthy, a simple thing to do is wash your hands, everybody.
And they loved him for it.
Okay.
Actually, no, they didn't. We'll get to that soon. Let's get started for now. The first sentence of our lesson says, today, everyone knows that washing one's hands stops the spread of disease. Yes, people know that now. Did they know that then? No. Anyways, here we do have the word disease to talk about. It's a noun. So, are you feeling sick? Well, if so, you might have a disease. Yes, a disease is an illness. Anything that makes your life difficult in terms of your health, which makes you sick or ill or something like that. All of these things can be called diseases, viruses, bacteria, COVID-19. These are all diseases. For example, Katie often dreams of a world without hunger, war, and disease. Anyways, Ignaz Semmelweis, the hand washing guy. Nowadays, we all know that washing your hands is a good thing. It can help keep diseases from spreading. But at one time, this idea was considered weird.
That's absolutely right. It says, but at one time in the past, this idea was considered so strange that one doctor's life was destroyed just for encouraging it. Wow. So if that's Ignaz Semmelweis, the other doctors and other people, they didn't like him to tell them to wash their hands.
He didn't say thank you.
His life was destroyed because he was trying to get people to do it. What a crazy time. Yeah, when we destroy something, we wreck it, we ruin it, we break it and damage it and hurt it so badly that it basically can't be fixed. It can't be made better again. If you destroy a person's life, well, as a doctor, people would say he's a bad doctor, he's a crazy doctor, he'll just make you more sick or hurt you or kill you. And so his life as a doctor will be destroyed. It will be ruined or wrecked. It won't be a good life anymore. For example, for this verb destroy, the powerful typhoon completely destroyed the village. The wind and the rain knocked down the buildings and ripped off the roofs and ripped up the trees. It destroyed the village. Wow. That's a strange story, and we're going to find out what happened with Ignaz Semmelweis and his good advice after the break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。现在大家都知道洗手可以阻止疾病的传播，不过这个想法曾经一度被认为非常怪，以至于有一名19世纪的医生只因为鼓励洗手而毁了他的一生。好，那这2天的课文就是要介绍这位医生伊格纳斯·塞莫怀斯。好，我们先来看2个单字 ，disease 表示疾病，那么 destroy 这个动词有摧毁、破坏的意思。那有一个意思相近的动词是 wreck，wreck， 它也有撞毁、破坏的意思。好，那么单字例句有写到说，强烈台风彻底摧毁那个村落。那 Mike 老师说，搞不好那些村落的房屋的屋顶可能都被掀开、被扯破了。这时候老师用到 rip 这个字。rip 这个动词可以表达使什么裂开啊、撕破、扯开、划破的意思。好，那这边还有3个重点。第一个副词片语 at one time， 它表示曾经一度。例如 at one time people believed that the earth was flat， 人们曾经一度认为地球是平的。好，第2个重点，这个动词 consider 在这边表示认为。好，那么主动的句型是 consider某人或某事物 to be 加上名词或形容词，表示认为某人或某事物是怎么样的，这个 to be 可以省略。而被动的句型是某人或某事物 be considered to be 加上名词或形容词，来表达某人或某事物被认为是怎么样的，这个 to be 也可以省略。好，那我们就来造2个例句哦。He considered himself to be lucky， 或是 He considered himself lucky， 他认为自己是很幸运的。Mayday is considered to be one of the most popular bands in Taiwan， 也可以说 Mayday is considered one of the most popular bands in Taiwan。5月天被视为台湾最受欢迎的乐团之一。第3个重点 ，so 加形容词加 that 子句，它表示非常怎么样，以至于怎么样。那这个句型是用来强调 so 后面的形容词，来说明程度高到造成的某个结果。that 子句是用来表达结果。例如 Sharon was so nervous that she forgot to introduce herself. Sharon 非常紧张，以至于忘了自我介绍了。好，这回课文中。
Ignaz Semmelweis, a pioneer of hand washing. When Ignaz Semmelweis began working in a hospital in 1846, childbirth was dangerous for women. That's because after giving birth, many women developed a life-threatening infection that's called childbed fever. Nobody knew what caused this infection, but everyone feared it. In Semmelweis's hospital, the women who were helped by doctors during childbirth had a much higher chance of developing childbed fever than the women who were helped by midwives. Semmelweis wondered why this was, so he started looking into it. He noticed one clear difference. The doctors often carried out autopsies before helping with childbirth, and the midwives never did.
Okay, more on Ignaz Semmelweis. When Ignaz Semmelweis began working in a hospital in 1846, childbirth was dangerous for women. Very often, women would die while giving birth. It was terrible. Now, why was this happening, though?
That's because after giving birth, many women developed a life-threatening infection that's called childbed fever. So the women would have the babies, but then the women themselves, the new mothers, they would get this childbed fever. A fever, of course, is you get a high temperature, you feel very sick, and of course, women can often be quite weak after having a baby, and getting sick at that time can be especially dangerous.
So
and
there you go.
They didn't have the modern science we have now.
They didn't know where this childbed fever came
terrible.
from. Nobody knew what caused this infection, but everyone feared it. They were afraid of it. And in Semmelweis's hospital, the women who were helped by doctors during childbirth had a much higher chance of developing childbed fever than the women who were helped by midwives.
Interesting. Doctors today can be both men or women, of course, but back then they would have been all men, or 99.9%. A midwife, they still have these. It's kind of like a nurse who's been specially trained just to help women have babies. Sometimes they are nurses, sometimes they aren't, but they have special training only to help women have babies, and they do a lot of good work. And back then, they were much safer than the doctors. Now, Semmelweis, we read, Semmelweis wondered why this was. So he started looking into it. He noticed that when the doctors helped the women often got sick, the mothers often got sick. When the midwives helped, it was usually a much better situation. So he wondered why. Why is that? He noticed one clear difference. The doctors often carried out autopsies before helping with childbirth, and the midwives never did.
So they were cutting open dead bodies.
That's an autopsy.
Before helping with the childbirth.
Yes.
Maybe what killed the person on that table there, having the autopsy, is now going to get transferred to the poor mother. Oh my gosh. This is terrible. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be back after this.
好，1846年，塞莫怀斯开始在一家医院工作。当时有很多女性在生产之后会罹患产褥热，这是一种会威胁生命的传染症。那没有人知道是什么原因造成的，可是大家都很怕被感染。那在塞莫怀斯的这个医院里面呢，由医生所接生的妇女罹患产褥热的可能性，比由助产士所接生的妇女高很多。这边有2个重点。第一个，课文它用到关系代名词 who 去引导形容词子句来修饰指称人的先行词。举例来说 ，The boy who's wearing a yellow jacket is Gina's brother. 那位穿着黄色夹克的男孩是 Gina 的弟弟。那这时候我们看到句子里面的 who's wearing a yellow jacket 就是用来修饰先行词 the boy， 去形容 the boy 是穿着黄色夹克的男孩。好，第2个重点 A have a much higher chance of 动词 ing than B 就表示 A 比 B 什么什么的可能性高很多。例如Emma has a much higher chance of winning the singing contest than Sally. Emma 歌唱比赛获胜的可能性比 Sally 高很多。好，那么课文接着写到说，塞莫怀斯开始调查这件事。那他注意到一个明显的差别，就是呢，医生在协助生产之前，经常会进行验尸，而助产士从来都不会这么做。验完尸，然后马上来帮人接生，这听起来好可怕哦。好，那么文中这个 autopsy 就是指验尸或者是尸体解剖。接回到课文中。
Ignaz Semmelweis, a pioneer of hand washing. He suspected that childbed fever was being spread from dead bodies through touch. Therefore, Semmelweis ordered the other hospital workers to wash their hands after autopsies. Shortly after, the rate of childbed fever dropped throughout the hospital. He had solved the mystery.
So the doctors were performing autopsies and then they'd go deliver a baby. So Semmelweis saw this and he suspected that childbed fever was being spread from dead bodies through touch. Ugh. By the way, if you suspect something, you think that something is true. You think you might have an explanation for something. You think that A is responsible for B, where that B might be a bad thing. For example, scientists have long suspected that negative emotions can hurt your health. Yes, they've thought this was the case for a long time.
Very, very interesting. Therefore, so because he suspected that the doctors doing autopsies can make the women sick right after, therefore Semmelweis ordered the other hospital workers to wash their hands after autopsies. He said, you have to do this. In the same way that today in a kitchen they would say, after you touch the chicken, you have to wash your hands. Otherwise you can make other people sick. This seems simple to us now, but back then it was kind of a crazy idea. So what happened? Well, the other workers in the hospital did begin washing their hands, and then we read shortly after, the rate of childbed fever dropped throughout the hospital. It worked. Washing your hands was a good idea, and they could see from the information, the data, because the rate of this fever dropped. The rate of something is basically how much happens over time, all right? When we talk about how fast a car is driving, we can also say its rate of speed, how fast it's driving over a mile, or how far it goes in an hour can tell you how much. So, you know, when we were talking about COVID-19 in the past few months, we were always interested, what's the rate of infection? How many people get sick in a week or in a day or in a month? And if it's going up, we know this is bad. If it's going down, we know this is good. For example, here's another thing we look at, the rate of. The city's crime rate went down last year. How many cars were stolen last year compared to the year before? These numbers give us information.
There you go. Now, Semmelweis, he had cracked the code,
That's
so
obvious.
to speak.
Sure.
He had solved the mystery. Yeah, hot dog. He figured out what was going on. He solved the mystery. Yeah, a mystery is something that's hard to explain, which might be totally just inexplicable to anyone except to someone like Semmelweis here, because Semmelweis here, he figured things out, okay? There was a problem, he solved it, he solved this mystery. By the way, the noun is mystery. If you want to describe something that you can't explain, you can say that it is mysterious. That would be the adjective. For example, the cause of the fire is a mystery. Nobody knows why this fire started, where it came from, so on and so forth. All right, folks, with that, the first day of our lesson on Ignaz Semmelweis is now in the books. We'll see you next time for more.
刚刚说到，医生在协助生产之前，常常会进行验尸。那么塞莫怀斯就怀疑说，产褥热是经由接触从死尸传播的。于是他就要求其他医院工作人员在验尸完之后要洗手。那么很快的，整间医院罹患产褥热的比率就下降了。这证明他的怀疑是正确的，他解开了这个谜。好，最后来看3个单字 ，suspect。在这边当动词，它表示怀疑、猜想。那么 rate 表示率、比率。那么 mystery mystery， 它表示谜或者是神秘难解的事。它的形容词是去掉 y 再加 ious 变成 mysterious。mysterious 就是形容神秘的或是难以理解的。那 Jeff 老师在解释单字时，他用到 inexplicable 这个形容词来形容令人费解的、无法解释的。好，那这个字是拼作 inexplicable inexplicable。好了，那么以上这些讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
大家好，我是季安老师。我们今天带大家看照片描述 photographs 这些常见的单字。Alright， 必备词汇一样就是暂停然后把这个单字记下来。好，这些都还蛮常考的都必须要在上考场之前先把它记熟。即便你背不出来，你也是要认得它。OK。好了。这两个人是在干嘛呢？洗碗，洗碗啊。
A. The man's wiping the table. B. The man and woman are washing the dishes. C. Laundry is being washed. D. A man is cleaning the window panes.
Alright， 所以答案呢是第二个嘛，对不对？他们在洗碗 ，washing the dishes are doing the dishes， 其他都不对啊。Wiping the table， 他在擦桌子，并没有。Laundry is being washed，laundry 是洗衣服，这也不是。A man is cleaning the window pane，window pane 是这个窗户的玻璃片，并没有看到，所以呢就不是了。来，他在干嘛？挖土，对不对
A fence is being built. B.The man's mowing the grass. C. The man's shoveling some soil. D. A driveway is being swept.
OK， 这些单字可能大家比较不熟悉这个答案呢，我们是选 C is shoveling some soil。shovel 是铲土的意思那 soil 是土壤。OK， 所以 shovel 是把它铲起来。那刚刚可能有人会想要选 B The man's mowing the grass。mow 的话呢是这个除草，用除草机去除草，所以都不是。A fence is being built， 篱笆正在被围起来被建筑起来但不是A 不行。A driveway is being swept， 他在扫这个车道，但是这边没有车道OK， 来我们看下一个场景的必备词汇，大众交通运输快快的看过去，或者是暂停背起来。准备好了吗？准备好了就开始咯。
A. The man's going through the security checkpoint. B. The man's waiting in line at the check-in counter. C. The immigration officer is checking the man's passport. D. The commuters are waiting for their bags in front of the carousel.
Alright， 这一题如果你不确定的话呢，你可以把它倒回去再听一次这题答案是 A， 蛮明确的。The man's going through the security checkpoint。Security 是安检 ，OK， 安检的这检查点、检查站，他正在通过这个检查点，所以答案是 A。其他的 waiting in line at the check-in counter 这边看起来不像是 check-in counter 登记的柜台。那 C 呢 ，immigration officer is checking the man's passport，is checking the man。到这边还可以但是 passport 你没有看到他拿护照出来的样子，所以这不对。D. Commuters are waiting for their bags in front of the carousel。这边没有看到那个行李转盘所以呢就不对了。OK， 下一题，注意看他们在干嘛在哪里做的事情是什么？上车下车，那是什么车
A. The bus is approaching the traffic light. B. Pedestrians are crossing the road. C. The people are waiting to board the bus. D. Commuters are stepping out of the train.
Alright， 所以答案应该是 C 不确定的你可以再回去听一下。The people are waiting to board the bus， 他们正等待着上车，其他都不行。为什么呢？这边我们没有看到 traffic light， 对不对 ？Is approaching the traffic light， 接近这个交通号志红绿灯，没有。Pedestrians are crossing the road， 他在过马路，并没有。 猪呢 ，commuters are stepping out of the train， 那从这个火车当中走出来但是这个不是 train。OK， 所以很明显的答案就是 C 了。以上是我们今天的课程内容，我们下部影片见，拜拜。
See you next time.